ओडिशा आम राज्य, ओडिया आम भाषा एवं आमे समृद्ध आम भाषा रे, आम धर्म रे, आम परंपरा रे, आम संस्कृति रे, आम कला रे, आम संगीत रे जहाँ किछि आपण कहि परिबे आमर सांस्कृतिक परिचय, आम कल्चरल आइडेंटिटी। किंतु आज भी ओडिशा बाहर जड़े ओडिया जदि निज परिचयर दाबी करे तो कौन ए कल्चरल आइडेंटिटीटा यथेष्ट? रीइमेजिनिंग ओडिशाज आइडेंटिटी, कल्चर एंड पॉलिटिक्स यहाँ उपरे चर्चा करिबा पई मु आमंत्रण करिबी मंच उपरकू आज का डिस्कशन रो मॉडरेटर, एडिटर एट लार्ज हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स मिस्टर राजेश महापात्रन को एवं तांका सांगरे पैनल रे रहिबे श्रीयुक्त हरप्रसाद दास, एमिनेंट ओडिया राइटर, पोएट एंड कॉलमनिस्ट, प्रोफेसर विश्वजीत दास, फाउंडिंग डायरेक्टर ऑफ द सेंटर ऑफ कल्चर, मीडिया एंड गवर्नेंस, जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया, and Professor Bhairavi Prasad Sahu, Department of History, Delhi University. My dear guests, please put your hands together for this league of extraordinary gentlemen.
ए किछि दिन तळे मु आ जो आमर माध्यम गुड़िक अच्छी आपण मैंने समस्त जानिथिबे जे विगत किछि वर्ष रे जो सोशल मीडिया जहाँ को कहती ट्विटर, फेसबुक यही माध्यम गुड़िक बड़ माध्यम हो जाइछि खबर पाइबा पई, खबर खोजिया पई, खबर ट्रैक। मु जेतेबेले एही माध्यम गुड़िक देखे ट्विटर रे किछि दिन तळे मु देखिली अनेक आमर युवा ओडियांकर ट्विटर हैंडल रे तांकर विषय रे जो लेखा थाए मु अमुक, मु गोटे प्राउड ओडिया, आई एम ए प्राउड ओडिया। मु किछि दिन भाबिली कहीं के माने लिखुचंती आई एम ए प्राउड ओडिया। मते लागिला प्राउड ओडिया इज एन एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ एन आइडेंटिटी। एमान मध्यरु जणे युवांको मु पचारिली तमे कहीं कि प्राउड ओडिया निजको कहूछ, तमे को जिनस पई प्राउड? आज्ञा मु आम इतिहास पई प्राउड। आई एम प्राउड ऑफ माय कल्चर। When you hold on to some of these identities, they're also a statement on the way you are seeing your present. So the expression proud Odia to me comes across as a defensive identity. I thought today when we talk about Odia identity, I think I'll begin with Professor Das, the expression of proud Odia. How do you take it?
I think as a teacher, I'm more comfortable standing and talking. So I think the issue of language and semiotics and rhetorics, these are most important things. Now the question of why a young man today talks about, I'm a proud Odia, what is wrong in it? Probably 20 years back or 30 years back, when I came to Delhi, I would have never mentioned the question of humility. The question of humility probably existed much more. And that humility probably today does not exist. And that comes in a different disguise. So we need to understand that the question is, I want to make myself, felt across. So the question is that, look, the ethics, morality, the issue of ethics and morality, it also keeps on changing along with the times. So I think the question of what it was 30 years ago, probably I was having more humility. Today people would like to assert their identity, and this is where the question of also a matter of pride, to talk about I'm proud Odia. I think we need to look at with that kind of sense rather than talking about that, look, the question of that why I have to show my proud moment about Odia. I think there is an overall language you need to understand. I think you look at the larger rhetorics in the politics itself, so that will give you an answer where we stand today. Now, coming back to the next question of imagination. Now, what is this idea? Is imagination possible? Can we think about reimagining? Can we think about reimagining question? I think imagination also becomes a social practice. I think today, indeed, we can reimagine simply because our histories or our identity question or cultures whatsoever were earlier confined with the official narratives. And these were limited, confined to a small, minuscule section of people. And today, media has brought them to the public glare. And that is where we must compliment the media provides a new way of imagination about our identity. We know what social media is doing today. In spite of that, there is still a possibility that social media provides a kind of an self-experimenting with a self, and also trying to provide a sense of space to create that sense of identity. Possibilities which probably we had never ventured in, and that is today that I can handle media myself. I can consume, I can produce, and that is where, and I can distribute. That is where earlier, which was confined to the organizational space, now it has come to the hands. There is an information overload. What I'm saying is a time will come, we must know how to organize, how to even decipher informations. But media brings it here, and this is where I would like to.
I think I'll take off from there. As a historian, how do you look at this question of Odia identity?
Point is, talking about identity is not a very uncomfortable thing. Now, we live in different times, and therefore, the situation that has turned up in the last 25 years is a situation where we believe that unless we assert ourselves, perhaps, we have not been noticed. And so given the situation, these identities are coming up. But the point I would like to basically make is that when you talk about identities are never in the singular. They are plural. Every individual has a multiplicity of identities. For example, I might come from Berhampur or Sambalpur, that's one identity. I might come from Orissa, that's my next identity. I may belong to India, that's the third. And so there could be a hierarchy of identities. They're not mutually conflicting. They're not mutually exclusive. And depending on situations, I might pick up one identity vis-a-vis the other. And that's something that we got to remember as citizens of this country. Secondly, when we talk about Odia identity, for example, we've got to remember what Odia identity are we talking about. We should remember that Odia identity that we're talking about is basically a kind of a fusion over centuries that has taken place. Because what we call the Sambalpuri or the Dakhina Koshala part of what we call Orissa, what we call Kalinga or the Berhampur part of Orissa, and what we call Toshali or the Utkala part of Orissa, the Katak Bhubaneswar belt, they're all fused over time. And one of the best examples of the cultural fusion is what we have as the Rekhadora temple structures. The Rekhadora temple structures that we see in Konark, Bhubaneswar and other areas, they are essentially a result of the fusion of Kalinga style, the Dakhina Koshala style, and what emerges the Toshali or Utkala style. And that's how it all happens. If you look into Orissa as a space, it is not a homogeneous entity. Within Orissa, there are different cultural manifestations. Because what I'm saying is that in matters of food habits, in matters of choice of marriage cycles, in matters of art forms, in the choice of dance forms, there are a variety of things that you find across the space of Orissa.
Dr. Sao talked about how there is no one culture. You have been an author, writer, you have looked at this subject very closely. How do you look at this question of Odia identity as it has been all these years and in the present context?
बंधुगण मोर दायित्व बहुत बढ़ी जाइए दायित्व बढ़ी जाइए जे मो आगु जहाँ आपण मैंने शुणिले से जोड़ाए प्रश्न एपर्यंत उत्तर दिखाई गोटे हूँ व्हाई डू आई कॉल माई सेल्फ ए प्राउड ओडिया एंड हाउ डू आई रीइमेजिन ओडिया एंड अलोंग विथ दैट माई प्राइड जो मैंने ओडिया प्राइड विषय कहते से टिके इतिहास को आउ गोटे प्रकार देखार आवश्यकता रही मु कहीं कहे आपण को मु कहीं व्हाई डू आई कॉल माई सेल्फ ए प्राउड ओडिया प्रथम कथा जो मान सहित मुझे निजक तुलना करे मो जाति को मु देखे जे मो ठारू अधिक गभीर को तांकर मूल जाइनी इन 3rd century BC Bharat Muni recognized the existence of an independent language called Odia, Odra. And he called Odra a Vibhasa. And Vibhasa has been rather perversely interpreted to mean that it was a dialect. A Vibhasa means Bises Bhasa. That was 3rd century. In 1st century, Pliny wrote his natural history and wrote about the existence of a people, a very interesting people, who cultivated rice. And by that he meant oruj is the word in Greece for rice. And he said these peoples could be called Orua, from oruj. Now tell me first of all, ladies and gentlemen, is there a comparable host of people who can take you back to 6th century BC and claim the existence of their language from 3rd century onwards as a continuity until today. Why should, ladies and gentlemen, I not be a proud Odia? You call me a poor Odia, you can do so. But I am a poor, proud Odia. That is the first point. When we talk of reimagination, we have to necessarily look back and think, did we ever imagine Odisha? Yes, Odisha was imagined twice. The first imagination of Odisha came, and this is going to be a surprise to many of you, in the 15th century by Kapilendra Deva. Can you believe that in 1435, a person becomes the first Oriya king of the Odia kingdom and says that I must expand my kingdom to such an extent that it would be a model in the whole of the Aryavarta. And the country he expanded from Ganga to Godavari. And thereafter did two most important things which are significant for our discussion. Number one, declared Odisha as a republic. A republic where the president was the Lord himself, Lord Jagannath, the president of the Republic of Odisha. And he himself, a servant of the Lord, meaning thereby a people's servant, a prime minister of Odisha. Have you got a single state, a single people in India today who can claim that in 15th century they had become a republic where the god was the president and the king was the prime minister? More importantly, in 15th century he declared that Odisha is the Rashtrabhasha of Odisha. So, I am a proud Odia. You can call me a poor Odia, I don't mind, but I am a proud poor Odia.
जहाँ हरबाबू कहले आमे किछिटा सुनिबाकू पाइलु आउ एठी भी अनेक लोक से विषय रे जानि नथिबे जहाँ आपण कहले 15th सेंचुरी रो जो प्रथम आसिला कल्पना ओडिया आइडेंटिटी रो आज जदि पुनर्कल्पना करियाकू हबो ते आमे समस्तक चारि पटे आमर जे अछंती तांको सहित संपृक्त इंटीग्रेटेड इंटीग्रल मेनस्ट्रीम हिसाब रे हमकू आगो देखिबाकू हबो. I would say, if somebody says पुनर्कल्पना कौन हम ओडिशा पाई मुझे कहबी नहीं जे मोर केते बड़ ऐतिह्य अच्छी केते बड़ इतिहास अच्छी ताकू आज सेंटर स्टेज रे अणा जाऊ. मुझे कहबी नहीं जे मोर जो कल्चर मोर जो संस्कृति ताकू मु नहीं सेलिब्रेट करी. मते जदि किए कहे आज पुनर्कल्पना कौन मु कहबी मोर पुनर्कल्पना होची गोटे शिक्षित ओडिशा हम समृद्ध ओडिशा, गोटे सुस्थ ओडिशा जो आम दाना माझी विषय शुणा पड़ो ना. आउ से पुनर्कल्पना रे जदि आमे कहबा यही पुनर्कल्पना पाई आमे गोटे प्राउड ओडिया मु कहबी निश्चय मु गोटे प्राउड ओडिया. धन्यवाद.